So you take 3 Traptrix structure deck, add a sprinkling of investment, and there you have it, a fully competitive and budget Traptrix deck that will do incredibly well in this format. You get the main, you get the extra, and you even get the side with a very neat price tag on top of it. So, as the title suggests, I'm going to bring you a budget build for the Traptrix involving all of their brand new support. At the end of the video as well, I'll also show you some basic combos for the deck. If you want to see more combos, test stand videos, or a full powered version of this, please make sure you smash that like button. Getting it above 50 likes in the first 24 hours will unlock that for you. So, with all of that out of the way, let's dive head first into this budget Traptrix profile. So, we start off with 3 of the brand new Pudika. So this is the brand new monster that we received in the structure deck, and it's unaffected by the effects of whole normal trap cards as most of the Traptrix monsters are. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. When this card is normal summoned, specifically normal summoned and when, you get to add a Traptrix Garden, which is the field spell, from your deck to the hand. If this card is special summoned, you get to target a special summon monster your opponent controls and banish it. Also, during the next standby phase, your opponent can special summon one of their banished monsters. We've then got triple Arachnacampa. So this is the other brand new card that we received. So it's again unaffected by the effects of whole normal trap cards, and the first time each set card in your spell and trap zone would be destroyed by card effect, each turn it is not destroyed, which is really important for a deck like this. During the main phase, if you control a Traptrix monster, quick effect, you can special summon this card from the hand, and you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except insect or plant monsters. You can only use each effect once per turn. We then max out on triple Mantis and triple Marmello, pretty much the standard lineup for the Traptrix monsters. These are all in the structure deck. So the Marmello on normal summon lets you set a normal trap card, which is, well, technically add. And Mantis lets you add a Traptrix monster, which again is really important when you have additional cards like Arachnacampa, which becomes free extenders, and everything else you might need as well. Then we've got the one Viscello, the one Dioneer, and shout out to, I believe it was Bones, who played the one Nepsis. Now I actually agree with this, I thought it was kind of a cool little combo. So, the Viscello is basically a free summon by sending a whole normal trap card, or you get to banish it from the graveyard to reset a normal trap hole card from your graveyard, but you can only use one of the effects per turn. Dioneer on normal summon lets you special summon back a Traptrix from the graveyard, and on special summon you get to target a whole normal trap card in your graveyard and set it, but you banish it during the end phase of the next turn. The Neptis is, if you activate a whole normal trap card, except during the damage step, you can add to your hand or special summon a Traptrix monster from your deck. Now the reason this is so good is because of the brand new card, the Traptrix Holotia. And on top of that as well, during your opponent's turn, this will allow you to special summon out the Pudika from the deck as well, which will allow you to have a quick effect banish, or you can go for a Marmello, which will give you the ability to target a spell or trap and pop it. Keep in mind this is mandatory, so it will always trigger. So it means if you special summon this off of Sarah, like turn 0, you can then trigger Sarah's effect, or your turn 1, and it will trigger Sarah to set a trap hole. Then one of the first investments you need to pay to be putting into this deck is a playset of Parallel XYZ. This card's actually so good for the deck because literally any Traptrix monster plus this gives you instant access to Sarah and then a rank 4. And off the back of that rank 4 you have ultimate, a couple of other combos you can make and play. It can be Baguska defensively, it can go into your new Pinicula, which is obviously the brand new XYZ, and everything else. Then of course triple Ash Blossom, of course this came in the structure deck, so you don't need to invest in that. So far from the monsters, the only thing you need to buy are the Parallel XYZs, and like I said, and as I've done in the video before, it's only like a £5 card for a playset, not each, that would be crazy. But it's had like common, super and secret prints, you should be able to pick them up relatively easy. Then moving into the spells, so we've got Trap Tantalizing Tune. So this is the Allure of Darkness for the deck. This is in replace of Pot of Prosperity. If you have Pot of Prosperity, you'd probably put them straight in here. It's a shame that this isn't searchable for the deck, but you discard a level 4 insect or plant monster, which all of your Traptrix are, or a normal trap card, and then draw 2 cards. You can banish this card from the graveyard to target one of your banished level 4 insect or plant monsters, or a normal trap card, and place it onto the bottom of your deck. You can only use each effect once per turn. So it's got nice recyclability, but again, it's like an Allure. You need to be able to discard the card in order to kind of draw it. It's not like, well, it's a little bit worse than Allure because you can activate Allure with a dead hand and then banish or discard one. But it's still a really good card for the deck. But like I said, if you have Prosperities, that is your upgrade. If not, again, this is something you don't even need to pay for in this deck. The only other spell we play is the Traptrix Garden. So during your main phase, you can normal summon one Traptrix monster in addition to your normal summoner set, and obviously it's incredibly easily searchable off of the Pudika. You can only use each effect or gain this effect once per turn. The first time each insect or plant monster you control would be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not destroyed. You can banish one monster you control to special summon a Traptrix monster from your hand or graveyard. So this is kind of really cool. It's a shame that you need to banish a monster you control, but again, it gives you ways of being able to, for example, if they Ash or Imperm your Parallel Xyz on summon, you can activate this to banish that Parallel Xyz, and then you get to summon out a Traptrix from the hand, which allows you to go into your rank 4s and everything else. You can play Called by the Grave in this deck, and the reason that I would consider playing that is because the only hand trap you really lose to right now, or not lose to, but struggle against, is Ash on your Sarah. And that's purely because it was special from the deck. It's unaffected, when we get to Sarah you'll see, but it's unaffected by trap cards, so it means they can't imperm it or anything like that. So the only thing you really struggle against is Ash, but the reason I haven't put it in here is because technically, if I do get Ash, it's not the end of the world. There are other plays to make. And then we've got this brand new insane card, Traptrix Holutia. This card is nuts. So you get to activate this card the turn it was set by discarding one normal trap card. Special summon this card in defense as a normal monster, level 4 and a plant. This card is not treated as a trap card. You get to banish this card from the graveyard to target a Traptrix monster in your graveyard and special summon it. The sad thing about this is you can only use one of the effects per turn, which is a big sad. But the fact that you can pretty much set this turn 0. So for example, normal summon Mamelo, turn this into Sarah, set this turn, discard a normal trap card to activate it this turn, trigger Sarah's effect, which will let you special summon out a Traptrix. If you special summon out Mamelo, it's a mandatory effect on the special summon to pop a card, even if your opponent doesn't have one. That will then trigger Sarah to set you a trap pile, and then you've got a rank 4. So again, you've got a lot of like quite a few really good 2-card combos in this deck now, which is why a card like this is really important, and it's also why a card like this is really important in the triple Shade Brigadine. I'm really happy they gave us this in the structure deck, so it makes it so much easier for everyone to be able to get. But this card, it can be activated the turn it's set if you have no trap cards in your graveyard, which ideally you're going to be holding back your imperms for the right time in order to do that. And again, all of this comes in the structure deck, so you don't even need to invest in it. Before I get to the ones that aren't in the structure deck, I might as well go through the rest. So I've decided to go with 2 Floodgate Trap Hole and the 1 Gravedigger. And the reason I went with 2 Floodgate is I just think it's incredibly powerful against Kashtira's. It is a 41 card deck, so you could cut this down to 1, and you do have a lot of cards that let you loop this. But the fact that this isn't a once per turn is really, really kind of cool, because if your opponent summons a monster, you Book a Moon it permanently. Yes, you need to get rid of it, but in a Kashtira matchup, as soon as you Book a Moon their first monster, the fact they haven't been able to use their effect to summon, to search the spell or the monster, the fact that they no longer could technically control a cash monster, so they can't special summon Rise Heart. There's no, they can't Theosis it because it's not face up, so it's not treated as a cash card. There's just so much they can't do. The only thing they'll be able to do is they activate Birth, and then Birth just lets them normal summon a Kashtira monster, and then they try and play off of that. But again, that's where a second Floodgate can come into, or a send in a Floodgate off of Rafflesia. Just incredibly powerful. When you Book a Moon both their monsters, yes, you will eventually need to get rid of them, but that's where you can start building up advantage before your opponent can even do anything. Everyone should know what Gravediggers does, and then obviously the brand new Terrifying Trap Hole Nightmare. This is called like Delusional Trap Hole. My only disappointment with this card is that it's not foil. I would have loved to see it as a super. Anyway, if your opponent has special summoned a monster or monsters this turn, so it doesn't even need to be activated on the summon, target one monster your opponent controls, so again, it doesn't even need to be that monster, that has 2,000 or more attack. Destroy it, then if you have a whole normal trap card in your graveyard, you can banish one monster from your opponent's graveyard. So this one on itself becomes the ability to basically DD Crow or Call by the Grave one of your opponent's monsters, which is really cool. And the last card we are main decking is Evenly Matched. And the reason we're main decking this is because if you don't get to go first, this is a great board breaker going second against all of the main meta decks. It is a normal trap card, so it can trigger other cards if you do start to play something like Lady Labyrinth, or if you want to play something like the Amazements. But on top of that as well, because it's a normal trap card, it can be discarded off a Holotia when you've got spares of it and everything else. So again, all of this is in this structure deck. So the only thing in the main deck that you have to be buying for this structure deck so far is triple Imperm, and this is actually really important because this one can be used, and obviously it's a negate, and it triggers Sarah, so really, really important, and the Parallel Xyz. That's all you need to buy for the main deck. Yes, this is a little bit expensive at the moment, but don't tell anyone I told you this, you can pick up the Cyber Dragon structure decks for £5 from Smith's Toy Stores, so you're only paying £15 for a playset of Imperms. Like, what's not to love? So that's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck, we'll go over the new cards first. So we've got the Pingnicula, So this one is the brand new rank 4, and this card's really, really cool. So finally, we have an aggressor to Rafflesia. So as you can see, 300 attack, 2500 defense, and then you've got 2500 attack, 300 defense. So they're basically the polar opposites. So the Pignicular, what it does is, again, it's generic 2 level 4s. When this card has XYZ material, it's unaffected by trap effects and the activated effects of other monsters with the same type as the cards used as this material. So obviously at the moment, you'll probably end up using insect and plants, so it's great in the mirror match. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You can detach a material from this card and then add a Traptrix monster from your deck to the hand. And if a monster or monsters owned by your opponent is sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect, except during the damage step, you get to attach one of those monsters to this card as material, which is why the first effect of it being unaffected by the monsters as material of this card is really, really important. So you're basically stealing your opponent's stuff, it never hits the graveyard. Obviously, Rafflesia is Rafflesia, and then, of course, we've got the Alamiris. Then for the Link monsters, of course, we've got the brand new Atpus, apologies if I butchered that, but this is their brand new Link 3. It's 2+ monsters, but it needs to include an insect or plant monster, which in this deck is like pretty easy. My disappointment is it's only 1800 attack. However, this Link Summon card is unaffected by trap effects. All Traptrix monsters you control, including itself, gain 1000 attack. So it becomes a 2800 Link 3, which is nuts. While you have a normal trap card in your graveyard. So again, making this, you should like 99.999% have a normal trap card in your graveyard. Once per turn, you get to target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of insect and plant monsters you control. Negate their effects until the end of this turn. Then you can apply the following effect. Banish one normal trap card from your graveyard, and if you do, destroy one of those targeted face-up monsters. Now, it's a shame that that's not a quick effect. It really would have been great if that was a quick effect, but it is what it is. We've then got the one Coolia and the triple Sarah. Sarah is like the most important card for this deck. This card is just out and out nuts. So it's one non-link Traptrix monster, so you can use it with an XYZ, so that's 2 parallel XYZs overlaid, and everything else. Really, really important card. If a normal trap card is activated, you get to special on a Traptrix monster from your deck with a different name from the cards you control. And if another Traptrix monster effect is activated, you get to set a whole normal trap card directly from the deck. So it's giving you access to everything you need. The only other Link monsters we're playing is the Yugioh and the Link Spider. So Link Spider is if you get if you activate Shade Brigadine. So if you open up no Traptrix, which would suck, but if you open up Shade Brigadine, you can and Parallel Disease, you flip the Shade Brigadine and turn it into Link Spider. Trigger the Parallel Disease. That can give you access to Rafflesia, Rafflesia or Pignicular. And of course, Pignicular can then search you out a Traptrix monster, and you can pretty much go ham from that point on. The last one is just generic rank 4. So Cowboy, Baguska, Time Thief Redoer, and then instead of Zeus, because we wanted to try and keep it budget related, we've got Exton Knight and Steel Swarm Roach. Now, Roach and Exton are about £4 to £5 each. Redoer is about £2. Baguska is like 40p. Cowboy, annoyingly, is like £4. Asua and Link Spider is £2 on Link Spider, and you can get like a rare version of Asua for like £1. So this is where a bit more of the money starts getting invested. But again, you've saved all of your money on your main deck, so investing in the extra deck is not the end of the world. If that wasn't enough, the budget is so tidy and neat, you can get a full-on side deck for this deck. So for the monsters, we are playing triple Artifact Lancia. This is just great against the cash matchup. So dropping this on your opponent. It also, one of the biggest weaknesses of the deck is getting evenly matched. So if you side for the side, expecting evenly matched, you can Lancia, and straight away, that's it. Out and out, done. What makes this deck so good is it plays under all of the main deck outs that people are playing. In stuff like Book of Eclipse, they don't really care. Like, you're not going to flip their Sarah face down, so they're still good to rock and roll. Nibiru, they can play under Nibiru quite easily as long as you don't overdo it in your head. And straight away, by going into a Rafflesia, Rafflesia can send Gravedigger's Trap Pile, and then you out that Nibiru straight away. Book of Eclipse, this just, you know, it's the biggest out to catch tiers, and it's not bad against other decks as well. Triple Anti-Spell, flip this against a branded player. They are not playing. Lance is also really good against branded buy-steal players as well, because you drop that on them, they can't buy-steal. Obviously, you can discard this and they'll have to, I believe they can chain the buy-steal to banish this, so they'll still get it to the board. But it still kind of slows them down. It also stops them guaranteeing to banish the gimmick puppet that people are using to lock out the boards and everything else like that. I then chose to go with Gozen matches. So anti-spells are like 50p each, Book of Moons are 40p each on tier 0 games. I've shown you all this in the previous video. This is like £4 for a playset. And the reason Gozen's so good is because you only play Earths, and then obviously your extra day is where it starts to differ a little bit. But even then, when you look at it, Cowboy's an Earth, Spider's an Earth, Bagusa's an Earth, Reader, Roach and Exton are the only ones that aren't Earths. Everything else are your Traptrix, and especially when you've got a card like Pignicular and the Aptus that then gives all of your Traptrix an extra 1,000. You've got a 2,800 link free, and then you'll have a 3,500 rank 4. So you're in very good position there. And then the final card we are playing is Triple D Barrow, because it's a normal trap card, so trigger Sarah. Flip this, call XYZ. That's very, very important, that the Rafflesia and the Panicular will be pretty much immune while they have materials. But even then, you've just got to be a little bit careful, because if you flip this with a Redoer, you've got to be a bit careful on that one. A Baguska, be careful. Cowboy, be careful. However, flipping this, call fusions, that's it, branded, game over. Flip this, call XYZs against Kashteras, pretty much game over. Yes, they can pretty much go Kashtera monsters beat down, but being able to lock them down and out is pretty much GG from that point on. Anyway, that is it for the main deck, that is it for the extra deck, and that is it for the side deck. A very nice, tidy budget. Now, keep in mind that the budget stated on the profile and everything else is including the purchase of free structure decks. I showed you at the start of the video as well that you can get the structure decks from Tier 0 Games for £24, plus the discount code gets them down to about £22-ish. So the rest of the money is just free fodder for you to build the rest of the deck and everything else you need to. So, with all of that out of the way, I'm now going to take you through a couple of basic combos, very, very simplified, and then if you want to see more, you know what you need to do. Okay, so these combos come from Bones on YouTube. I'll leave a link to his video in the description below, because he's got loads of different variations and combos. I just wanted to show you two very important combos using the brand new cards so you guys can get used to it and see exactly what you need. So you start off by normal summoning the brand new Pudika. This will allow you to search out the garden, and you'll activate the garden to give you an additional normal summon. Turn the Pudika into a Sarah, because obviously that is the most important link monster you have in your entire deck. And then what you want to do here, just put Sarah over there, what you want to do here is you then want to be able to get your additional normal off of garden by normal summoning the Mantis, trigger the Mantis effect to search you out the Arachno Camper. This will of course trigger Sarah's effect in order to set a trap hole from the deck, and we're going to set the whole tier. If you have a normal trap card, obviously you can activate it this turn right now, but we're not going to do that. We're going to special summon down the Arachno Camper, and then you're going to overlay the Arachno Camper and the Mantis. Of course, you could go into the Panicular, but we want to be defensive, so you're going to go into the Rafflesia. Now, what this is going to do is during your opponent's turn, of course, we're going to have the ability of Rafflesia to detach a material, and then this will send from your deck to the graveyard one of the trap hole cards that is relevant to what's just happened. So let's say Floodgate Trap Hole, for example. That will of course trigger Sarah's effect because a Traptrix monster's effect has been activated, and this will let you set any trap hole card from your deck. So we're just going to set Gravediggers for this example. You then still also have the ability of activating the whole tier. So you activate whole tier as it is a trap card. This will then of course trigger Sarah, and what that's going to allow you to do is special summon a Traptrix monster from the deck. So off the back of that, what we're going to do is we're going to special summon out the Panicular, Pudika, sorry, Panicular, and then Pudika will have the ability to target one of your opponent's monsters and banish it. So you've been able to kind of disrupt two of your opponent's cards straight away, and you've gained a bit more advantage. I'm going to reset you this, and I'm going to show you the reason of playing the Nestis. Again, shout out to Bones on that one. Okay, so this combo is pretty fun, and it involves the Shade Brigandine, which is why this is so important. It could technically also involve the whole tier if you have an additional trap card to discard, but I've kept the cards at a minimum. So you start off by normal summoning Mantis, do the exact same thing here. You're going to search out the Arachno Camper. You're going to turn the Mantis into your Sarah, and then you're going to set and activate the Shade Brigandine because you'll have no traps in your graveyard. This will of course trigger Sarah to special summon a Traptrix from the deck, and this is where you're going to go for the Nephthys. Now obviously by doing this, the reason you've got this one here is because this is going to be able to give you 2 additional monsters or 1 additional monster during your opponent's turn. You're going to special summon down the Arachno Camper, of course, then you're going to be able to overlay these 2 as well. This will trigger the Sarah's effect, and Sarah is going to set the Holotia. And again, because we're going defensive, we'll go for the Rafflesia. Oh, don't want to overlay the Nephthys. There we go. Go for the Rafflesia. Now, keep in mind that you're locked into Insects, which is why you can't go into Redoer, but it's definitely a card you still want to be aware of. So what you do is you're going to pass your opponent's turn. This is going to allow you to continue, and then what you do is you activate the Rafflesia effect straight away, send Floodgate Trap Hole, for example. This will of course trigger Sarah to let you set a trap hole, so we're going to set the Gravediggers. And then what you want to do is you want to activate the whole tier. Obviously, you only need to discard a trap card if you activated that turn. So because we're not activating it at the turn it's set, we're doing it at a different turn, it can be activated without needing to discard. This will of course trigger Sarah, and because you activated a whole normal trap card as well, it will also trigger Momelo. And then this is where you're going to be able to summon, not Momelo, sorry, Nephthys. You'll then summon out your Momelo, you'll also summon out your Pudika, and then by doing so, you'll get the ability to target a card your opponent controls and banish it, and you'll get the ability to pop a set spell or trap card, or just a spell and trap card in general. So not only have you floodgated your opponent's monster, you've then had the ability to pop a back row and banish a front row, and then you've obviously got your Gravediggers trap hole set for the next turn, meaning that by the time you've disrupted your opponent and get back to the next turn, this is going to lead to an OTK because you've got plenty of XYZ capabilities and of course link plays as well. So that is it for the video. Like I said, I'm going to put the link to Bones' video in the description below. If you want to see like test stands to see the consistency of this deck and different play styles, different routes of play and everything else like that, then please make sure you smash that like button. Like I said at the start of the video, getting it above 50 likes in the first 24 hours will unlock that for you. But for now, as absolutely always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And of course, happy dueling.